This was perhaps the hardest list I have ever done so far. But we're doing it now. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I'm the Philadelphia Whovian, and yes, I'm now going to be ranking all of the Third Doctor stories, because guys, yes, I finally saw all of the Third Doctor stories, which I think now increases my amount of Classic Who Doctors I've seen all stories of to 5. Second, third, fifth, sixth, and seventh Doctors. So the Third Doctor era, I'm going to show some disclaimers in here right off the bat. Number 1, guys, this is a purely subjective list. Your list, if you want to ever rank the Third Doctor stories, could be completely different than mine. We're both right. This is a really subjective matter. I admit that one. And also, number 2. When it comes to the Third Doctor's era, this was a very magical time for me, because even the episodes that I don't necessarily think are the best, I still have elements of them that I did enjoy. Like each of my story I've watched of the Third Doctor era, I got something out of it that I really did like. So, it's just a magical time for me, and it's one of my favorite eras of his. There's that. Number 3, I'm not going to spend much time talking about each one, so this video does not get too long. And number 4, guys, yes, I know, it would be a smarter idea for me to cover what's going on with New Who right now when it comes to Series 11. I know it's a current idea, but guys, I just feel like going back to a simpler time and talking about something I can really have fun talking about that's just more enjoyable for me. Because when it comes to Series 11 of New Who right now, there's just so much drama surrounding that whole situation that I just don't want to really get into talking about it, number 1. And number 2, well, either two things are going to happen when it comes to me talking about Series 11. Either I talk about and admit that I don't like it, and then people call me anti-feminist or not respecting the new, show, and my social justice workers will kick my butt, and then people say I'm not being progressive and with the times, or I could say I love it, but then I would be lying. I could say I love Series 11, but I'd be totally lying, and now I've committed myself. All right, so I want to talk about, the ranking of all of the Third Doctor stories. So this is going to be a 2-part when it comes to list. My first video is going to be of my least favorite, from number 24 down to I think number 13. So let's split this in half. So we're going to start with least to best, with this being the first video. Now, starting with my least favorite, number 24, I believe. Planet of the Daleks. Okay, guys, when it comes to Planet of the Daleks, I know you guys, a lot of you like this story. I have no problems with the story. It's just that it simply is badly paced. It's a 4-parter that was dragged into 6. That's what it feels like. There was enough action to make this a 4-parter, but they put it into 6. And they should have just condensed it and made it 4 parts and called it a day. I like the story, I just feel like it should have been condensed. That's just my personal feelings. I understand why you do like it though. Next one we have is Death to the Daleks. Guys, when I first saw this story and first bought it, I loved it. I really loved it. But then something happened where over time, I would go back and watch it again, and I liked it less and less and less. It loses its charm after the first or second viewing. But, I see why people love it, though. I don't hate this story, but there's just something about it, it just does not age as well for me as others. Next one we have is The Curse of Peladon. Okay, I know a lot of people do not like the Peladon stories. I understand why. But despite the fact that I don't like this that much, there are still parts of this story I do enjoy. I like the idea of Peladon. I like the idea of the Galactic Summit and meeting, going there to make Peladon a part of the Galactic Alliance. I love the Doctor and Jo Grant in this so much. I always love them, but I love them here too. And I like the idea of the TARDIS, just when they land, it falls down the cliff. It just completely falls down. And they have to climb through up the cliff to get to safety. I love that stuff. I just really do. So I love the nursery rhyme the Doctor gives to the beast of Peladon, the monster. There are parts of this I do definitely enjoy, but I see why people don't like it, which is why it's where it is on the list. Now we have the Daemons. Okay, with the Daemons, I know a lot of you are going to kick me for not being higher on the list. Okay, there are definitely a lot of parts of this story I really do enjoy. I love Unit in this, as always, especially Sergeant Benton. I love the idea of the use of their environment, the world building and all that. Well, not the world building, but use of your environment, of this town you're in, of the heat barrier being around the town, and Doctor has to break through the heat barrier. Also of the things that can decrease and increase in size, compressing how big they are, the daemon growing at the very end. It's just simply that the ending itself is not that great, because even the people who worked on this, if you watch the special features, even they admit the ending does not work very well. Because it's like the daemon dies because he sees Jo Grant sacrifice herself for the Doctor. But it's like in all these centuries you've been on this planet shaping its future, you've never seen self-sacrifice before. And I'm okay with, endings not being as well contrived or sometimes poorly arrived at if I enjoy the rest of it. So there are parts of this story I definitely do enjoy. But I see if someone does not like this story very much, I do see why. I do. But there are great elements to this and not so great ones. The next one, I think we're at number 20 now. I do not own this one. It is the Time Monster. Okay, I've seen this get on some hated lists, and I understand why. But here's the thing. I admit I do overall like a lot of this story. Hear me out. One, I like the idea of Kronos. At first, I know when he comes in, it's ridiculous. But here's why I like him. Because Kronos and the appearance of Atlantis in this just completely builds on the Doctor Who world. It enhances and enlarges what could happen in Doctor Who. It expands the universe of Doctor Who, which is a good thing, especially when you're a fan fiction writer. To have mythological creatures or characters appear in Doctor Who really enlarges the universe that it's in. There's that. But also the idea of the story starting in one place and then over time it goes into Atlantis. I love when a story can just go back and forth like that between two different realms, and when a story starts in one place and then it goes off into another, showing how large and how fluid the storytelling is. When you're writing for Doctor Who, you have to be like water. You can start in one place and you can flow into another place to show just how much the story can flow and mold into anything. And my God, do I love when Jo Grant and the Doctor are in they're in prison, and then the Doctor is telling her about this teacher he had, the old man he would go and see, and about how the worst day of his life was the best day of his life. That was a beautiful moment. Oh my God, that was an incredible moment. One of the best moments I've ever seen. It's one of my favorites. And the ending, oh God, the ending is, I admit it is. But it's where it is because I understand why people do not like it. It's where it is on the list because I understand why you do not like it. But I'm just explaining to you there are parts of it I definitely do enjoy. Okay, now we have the next one on the list. The Claws of Axos. Okay, when I first saw this story, I loved it. But it was like the Death to the Daleks for me, where the more I would watch it, the less I was enamored with it. But I definitely do still enjoy this story. It's just, it's there. It's there. Next story we have is The Mutants. Okay, I've seen this get on quite a lot of hated, or either people don't like it or they just, don't care much about it. One person on YouTube said, hey, personally, I like it. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take their advice and buy it because it's very cheap, and I bought it, put it in, and overall, guys, I like it. I understand why you do not like the ending. I totally get why. But hear me out. At least the ending is arrived at, like it was built up to. These are people who are mutating. They've been mutating since the very beginning. Like since the very beginning, we've seen the mutations happening. It turns out the environment, what happened to the environment, because of these scientists and these corrupt people, they increased the speed of the mutations, and this is where the mutation ended up at the very end. I understand why you don't like the way the mutation ended up, but I overall had a fun time with the story. It was bright. That's another thing about the Third Doctor era I love. I love the brightness and the color of his era. I really do. And with the mutants, here's how the best I can describe it. For those of you guys who like from series 1 of New Who, Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways, where Rose Tyler just turns into a god because she got possessed by the Bad Wolf or the Heart of the TARDIS, whatever. I'm sorry, I still don't understand how that makes any sense. And you find the build-up being okay to it because she and the Doctor saw words "Bad Wolf" written in places every now and again, and you think that's good build-up. I'm sorry, but if you think that's good build-up to that really poorly contrived ending, you have to forgive us for being okay with this. You just do. And I'm okay with you liking, of course, series 1, that ending. I'm saying if you like that, you gotta forgive us who like this. But I don't hate the mutants the way other people do. Number 16 is Planet of the Spiders. Okay, Planet of the Spiders is the final story of the Third Doctor. And there are parts of this I really do like, parts I'm not that crazy about, but overall I do definitely enjoy it. I like that the spiders were not like just spiders who were like, killing people everywhere. No, they were a society. It was like the spiders were like any sort of organization of people who were corrupt because of the power they had over others. They just happened to be spiders in this case. I liked that. It did something different with the spiders. It made them just more than just brainless spiders. I liked that as well. I also liked the idea of this all happening because the Doctor stole a crystal from Metebolus 3 in the Green Death. I like that. And the Doctor admits, and the reason why I like it is because he admits he made the mistake. Like, after it becomes aware to him, this is all because of him, he admits it is greed for knowledge. He admits this is all on him, and he what? He goes back, he gives the crystal back, and he dies in the process, or the incarnation dies, and he will go on to regenerate. I can forgive the Doctor making a mistake, or as long as he admits the mistake and he confronts the mistake, that's when I'm definitely okay with the mistake. So that's beautiful to me. And when he does die and then regenerates, that was powerful. That really was. I liked it. Then we have number, I think, 15 we're at, and it's Terror of the Utans, where we have the Utans and Nestines are back again. Now we have the Master, and now we have Jo Grant as the companion. Okay, overall, I did very much enjoy this story. It's just simply that I don't own it, because I can't own it. It's too expensive. And because of that, I can't enjoy it as much as other stories because I don't own it. So it's never going to be fresh in my mind. That's really probably all it is. Now, next up we have Colony in Space. Okay, Colony in Space, guys, I fought to get this story. I literally waited so long to get this story, and I finally got it, and it was totally well worth waiting for. We get Jo Grant going off into the TARDIS for the first time, and her reaction is very different than other people's reactions usually when it comes to companions. The Master has a very good reason for being in this one. Yes, we have the day of the Doctor traveling in space, the Time Lords were the ones who sent him there. And the story is very well paced. It's got a good point to it without being beating you over the head with its point. It's like a lot of the Doctor's stories in the Third Doctor era. His era was very relevant to the times that it was being released during. His era really commented on things that were happening in that time period that his era was running for, but it never felt preachy. And that's what I liked about it. And Colony in Space is very much like that. Overall, I very much did enjoy this very good story. Now we have the last entry to this video, Inferno. I think it's number 13 or something. Either way, I know you're thinking Inferno, it's very low on your list if it's 13. No, it's not low on my list for being 13. But even if it was, guys, I do love Inferno. It's a worthy final story to the Third Doctor's first season. It's just a gut punch. Literally, it is so hard. It's like you're watching the Doctor fall into this parallel world that is a little ahead of the world he left. So he sees the tragedy that happens, but he's in an environment that there is no redemption for. Everyone's going to die in that story. He can't take them back with him because it's a paradox. He'll cause a paradox. That hurts. My only qualm with this story, and this is a nitpick that I don't even know if I'm right for, but I admit I feel like it would have been benefited more from being one episode shorter. And not just cutting things out, just condensing things. I just feel like it lost its momentum a bit in the middle somewhere, and it just would have been better if it was one episode shorter. But that's a super nitpick, which is completely subjective, and I understand why people think this is one of the best stories ever. It's because it is. It just is. And Liz Shaw, the Doctor, the Brigadier, I love them all. I love UNIT. I love all of this. I think it's great. So this ends part 1 of my ranking of the Third Doctor's episodes from beginning to very end, from least favorite to most favorite. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you tune in for my next video of the rest of the list, going from, I believe, number 12 to number 1. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. Peace out.